What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. I'm your host, Ronald, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com at Youcapper Sports on Twitter. Got my guys with me, Crispy Cappin on Twitter, Austin Wang, A Wang underscore HTX. As always on Friday, being able to join me here. Guys, yes, I was in the chat last night. Um, third game in 5 days where I had an under. It was under in regulation, and then it goes into OT. Man, that's one of the hardest things. And I was talking to Tony Finn, who was with me earlier on the Triple Double show, and I was like, "Yo, you're way more experienced in the betting game than I have." And I wanted to get his take on, like, how do you get through these things mentally, right? Because these are, I wouldn't say, obviously I want to say bad beats, but at the same time, stuff happens, right? But like, how do you get through times like this when you have a bad run, and even when you feel like you got something good, it goes south, right? Like, it's just tough like that. He was just like, dude, you with this type of experience, doing this for so long, you really just have to have a short memory and just continue going. So I thought that was great advice. But always, man, when you're in the middle of a bad run, it's always hard to have a short memory. You know what I mean? Like, you're always waiting for the next day that you have a good run, and then when you do have one, the next day you kind of fall back again. So I'm in that situation now, past couple two maybe 2 weeks now, but had a couple good days and then another bad one yesterday. I thought I was gonna put another run together, but yesterday was pretty tough. So 1-3 yesterday, but hopefully we bounce back today. Chris, how was your day yesterday?
2 on 1 day yesterday. I added. I know me and you talked about it. We broke it down. We both were on that under yesterday between Charlotte and Detroit, and that cash for us barely to
Yeah.
26. Man, woo, it was a scary one. But what wasn't as scary is Detroit team total to go under. So I added that. I know we talked about it yesterday on your show, so I added that. And then Knicks first half just didn't have it. Shout out to the Kings, man. They played really solid defense. The Knicks, scramble mode early in that game. So
Yeah.
2 on 1 day yesterday. Always looking to kind of build on that and hopefully have a O at the end of whatever I do today.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Austin, man. Obviously every Friday you join us here. I always love having you on here because as far as like the SDQL stuff, me and Chris can ask you questions. So but yeah, how's your week been going so far?
As last 2 days been going well. We had that Cavs and Heat under that hit on Wednesday, and then yesterday, just like what Chris mentioned, I was with you guys on the Pistons and the Hornets under. So favorable fourth quarter, low scoring fourth quarter. I thought when Mark Williams got injured, and that third quarter was starting to they were starting to run more in that third quarter. I was starting to get a little scared there, but no, they came through in the fourth, and so yeah, I went 2-0. I had the under on the Hornets, Pistons, and I had the Detroit team total under as well. Yeah, man, it's spring break. We're about to enter into spring break. My kids are going to be off. I'm taking a few days off my day job, but you know what? The life of a NBA handicapper, there's no days off, so I'm going to keep rocking and rolling there, and hopefully to keep this little run going.
Yeah, you see Austin with the Youcapper Ubi Jam shirt on. There you go. Let's go. Well, let's get started on the slate today. First one up is the Blazers and the Sixers. I'll bring up my screen here. This one was kind of tough for me. I think Austin, I think you have a better look on this one than I do. Chris, I don't know if you capped this one either, but let's start with you, Austin. What are your thoughts on this game here?
Ultimately, I just thought that it was a bad spot for the 76ers coming off a long road trip, 5-game road trip, and their first game back home. Going into the weekend, they won their last game, and I have this query, which is large home favorites defined as 7 points or more off a long road trip, so 5 or more games, and they won their last game. They're 4-17 against the spread since 2019. So just I thought the spread was a bit long at -9.5. My model had it more at -6.5 or -7, 76ers. So I see some value on the Trailblazers, who got Nurkic back last game. So they have him back to help defend Joel Embiid. He was rusty in his last game, and rightfully so. But now that he's got one game under his belt, I think Portland can keep it close here against a 76ers that I think is in a prime letdown spot.
Yeah, just a smaller version of your query. I was looking at this season teams off of at least 5-game road trip, and now they're home favorites. just 10 and 15 against the spread. So definitely an edge on that. It seems like obviously that travel spot that we always talk about, the first game home off of that long road trip,
Right.
seems like it still continues to be a fade spot here this season. I think one thing you mentioned though is that this is one of those lines where I feel like obviously the Sixers can still win the game, but the Blazers cover it. That's kind of the situation that I see tonight. This line is really large, like you mentioned. Any thoughts on this one, Chris?
I mean, I kind of agree with Austin. I had his query, but just looking at how hot Philly has been, it makes sense that they get some regression to the mean. Especially coming back home, that's typically a time when we want to fade teams, especially teams that's been playing really well. And then on the opposite side, you look at Portland. They just they laid an egg in Boston on Wednesday night in a game that we called that first quarter correctly. I see, even though neither one of us played it.
But, that's the crazy part.
Yeah, we called it correctly. I see. So I would just kind of agree with what Austin's saying. I did play a prop in this game. I see. I played James Harden assists. They are at 10.5, which is a pretty high number, but you look at it. We always talk about these numbers being priced, pretty high for a reason, and it was a little juiced already as well. I played it last night at -122. He had 14 assists in the earlier matchup in Portland this season, RC, and he's off a back-to-back 17 assist game against the Portland Trailblazers. You date back to the last, his most previous two games. So 14, 17, and 17 in his last three matchups. He's also coming off a 20 assist game against the Pacers just a couple days ago as well. He had 10 against the Bucks over the weekend and 13 against the Mavs last week as well. And so over those three games, he's averaging 15 assists on 23.5 potential assists. And you look at this Portland team, I just looked at them since the All-Star break. They're allowing the third most assists to opposing teams just in general, RC. They've been just giving it up. I got Jaden Ivey at 13 assists, Trae Young at 11, and Sabonis also had 10 as well. So with as much usage as Harden gets, I see him being able to get, probably 12 assists, but I took him over 10.5.
Yeah, that's crazy. 18.6 potential assists per game post All-Star break. There's a lot of opportunity there. It's crazy how much like I would have thought that Maxey and all these other guys would have more potential assists just looking at, just based off of the style of play, but man, Harden just getting all the opportunity.
Yeah, he just dribble, set a screen.
Yeah, just like one pass
to you, shoot it. Yeah.
Shit.
Hey, Ronald, show us how you got to that screen. Which so you went to stats, player stats?
Yeah. So we go. All right. So you know how like we typically go to the team advanced, right? Mm-hmm. You can go to here and go to players. But once you go to players, you go to tracking, right? And then you can go to passing. And what I did here was just do post All-Star break, and just to find players quicker, I just go straight to the team. So like you can also do rebounds. So if you go rebounding, there's a potential rebound assist or rebound chances. So like you can see Sabonis 21.4 rebound chances. You could just go straight to the team, and then go post All-Star break type stuff.
That's dope.
Also, Austin, also very, very useful for finding, like, if you want to target a player and you're looking at how that, like, you want to target a team, you can do a verse team as well. So I just did Portland to find out how much assists they were
that's sick. I didn't even think about that. So you went here.
I used that too. Yeah. So hold on. Actually, so look, go to teams. Like, don't go to players, go to teams, and then just go to opponent, and then go to post All-Star break. And then I just looked at how many assists, like who's giving up the most assists. I didn't even change it to team. I just looked at who's giving up the most assists post All-Star break, and you see Portland's giving up the third most assists post All-Star break. So then I went back in and I clicked on player, and then I filtered it to verse Portland only post All-Star break to see who was actually getting the assist.
Oh, like what position?
No, not even a position, just how many assists they've been giving up since the All-Star break, to see if it's the most ball dominant player. And we know Sabonis, runs a lot of high pick and roll for the Sacramento Kings, which is why he typically gets the assists.
Gotcha. Wait, say that one more time. So you went in here and then you went post All-Star break.
Post All-Star break. So then hit advanced filters, and then you go to verse team. You see right underneath. Yeah, you just hit Portland. Yeah, they go Blazers. Yep. That's how I do a lot of my capping for.
And then what did you do? Oh,
it's not potential assists. I see. It's just, I mean, you could do it like that. You could do it like that if you want to,
Yeah.
But you could just go to that. You didn't have to go to like the actual passing part. But I mean, it's still cool because you just filter by assists and see how many they gave up, and you can see how many they're getting as well. So yeah.
Okay.
And
I
you
think
just
what
go
you're
to
saying.
yeah, you just go to player. I see. Just if you click player back at the just click player again, and it should take the passing part out, and then you'll be back at the screen I was talking about. Yeah, there you go.
That's great. I use the team stats quite a bit, but yeah, diving into the player levels,
players,
the potential assists, and
that's
all
how
great
I cap.
stuff.
Yeah, that's how I cap player props. A part of it.
Are you talking about like that? Just doing that?
Yeah, and then you would go to verse Portland specifically. And then you should find exactly what I just told you. Jay Nabi had 13 assists, and Trae Young had 11, and Sabonis had 11.
Gotcha.
Yep, there you go.
Alrighty. So you were seeing like how many times post All-Star break had they given up more than 10?
Right. Well, when I saw that they were allowing the third most assists, I just wanted to kind of see who got those assists. And if you're giving up 13 to Ivy, then I feel like Harden should be able to get 11.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, that's dope. I learned something new today. All right. So it sounds like Chris, you got Harden assists, and then Austin, you like Portland plus the points, right?
I do. Taking them 9.5.
Do you guys have anything on the total on this one? Because I heard Rob Vino on Ski's show talk about the team total over
for Philly.
No, for Portland, instead of taking the spread, just focusing in on their team total, thinking that they go over.
If it's a letdown spot, based on the query that Austin said, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's okay. That's some high level. Yep, that is, man. That everybody's learning today. Class is in session.
And that's what we're here for. We learn how to cap,
RC. Bro. That's what I'm talking about.
And it's what's dope, RC? It's dope that you can show Austin how to do something, and then I can show you how to do something, because Austin typically the one showing both of us how to do something.
Yep, exactly.
We learn from each other to try to eat, man. We just try and cash.
Yes, sir. All right, so Gab Escom. So Blazers 0-6 over under first half. So you're thinking first half unders. All right, let's look at this real quick again. So is that first half under for the travel spot? So it would look like the team down. They're like down. If in this specific situation, the home favorites off of that long road trip, they're typically down at half. That's interesting.
RC, I bet you if you add that their opponent is coming off a 10-point loss, it probably gets even crazier, because we know that Portland didn't show up in their last game, and they're still fighting for something.
The fuck? Oh, wait. Portland's coming off a 10-point loss, right?
I'm pretty sure they lost by 20, right? I think it was like 80 something to like 115.
Yeah, so you'll do OP. You got to put that P.
Oh, my bad. So it is towards the Blazers.
Blazers first quarter.
Blazers first quarter. And the under too. So the team total under on the Sixers side.
Yeah. Add in that little bounce back spot for the Blazers after getting embarrassed by the Celtics.
I like it.
I gotta write that grade down.
I like it. All right, so we're looking at Sixers team total under first half. The Blazers full game, and it seems like full game and first half might be the spot. It seems like, remember how we did Nuggets, Chris? Take the first half. If they don't cover, take the live number. That might be the way that I go on this one with the Blazers. All right, let's move on to the next one. We were on that one for a while, but we were kind of learning some stuff, so I think that was okay. Let's move on to Hawks and the Wizards here. Chris, I asked you about this one because your best bet the other day was on the Hawks Wizards over. I was like, in my head, I was kind of looking towards the under in this one. So I asked you, and you're like, nah, I would say under this specific situation. Had to do with the Hawks kind of looking ahead to the Celtics. And then the Wizards also have a look ahead spot as well, right? I mean, it's not a second of back-to-back games, but they still got a tough game coming up. Do you have anything else on this one at all?
So I think just the like how the line hasn't moved, RC, is indicative of this game probably going under as well. But so when the total opened, RC, I was actually doing a live show 7 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday morning. And the total came out at 233. It went up to 234. I immediately bet it because I'm like, I don't know how high it's going to go, but I projected it'll go over this total. Ended up being bet all the way up to about 238 and a half as well. Yeah. And now it opens at 238 and nobody wants to touch it. It's going to sit there all day.
Yeah, exactly.
So to me that's I think that's a telling story. You also, like you mentioned, RC, you look at this Atlanta team. They have a big game, which you typically want to leave something in the tank for against the Boston Celtics tomorrow. Yep. And Washington, one thing I looked at is the Wizards. Whenever Vengeance same season losses this season, RC, I got them at 6-1 to the under when they're at home in that spot.
So just in general, they're 13-7 to the under, and if we say they're at home, 6-1. Gotcha.
Yeah, so those things look kind of.
They're winning and covering in those spots too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
For the most part, yeah.
So one thing that I did see on the Hawks side, so Hawks and that it? Hold on, Hawks. Oh no. Okay, so road favorite in general. Hawks is road favorites in general. It does say 10-1 to the over, but the other thing to mention is that they're on that first leg of back-to-back games. One thing that I was looking at here is because I actually look towards the Wizards to cover again. I think they actually win this game tonight too, because the Hawks 3-8 against the spread there, and then on the Wizards side, man, I forget. I don't know where I put my notes now for this game. I talked about this earlier on Triple Double.
I'll add in something like one angle that I like for both these teams is the first quarter total. If you look at the Washington Wizards and their first quarter total stats, 23-8 to the over at home, and they're the best first quarter team to the over for the whole season. And then if you look at the Hawks, they're 21-13 to the over in the first quarter on the road. And they played a couple days ago. That first quarter total hit 62 points, so it went over. The first quarter total set at 61.5, so that's a potential look there if you guys like the over.
Look at this split on that first half and the second half.
I was gonna say, RC, we talked about this before.
Crazy.
Yeah, we talked about the Wizards kind of running out of gas, and it was one of the reasons why I was I was kind of nervous the other day watching that game, taking the over, because the Wizards started the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter without. I don't think they scored a bucket. They had Kuzma, they had Bill, they had Porzingis all on the bench trying to rest all of them so that they could finish the game strong, and just couldn't score. So there's a big correlation between the Wizards offense in the first half and the Wizards offense in the second half. You would go to NBAstats.com and look at the advanced numbers, RC. Even post All-Star break and full season, I think you'll see that, which is why I would agree with what Austin has said as far as first quarter. I'm not 100% sure why, but their offense seems to get clicking early with Bill, Porzingis, and Kuzma typically in that first quarter. So I would agree with that.
That first quarter, and that's crazy that there's their home that first half, second half split is kind of weird. Wow, they're just the gap between them. I can't find my notes now. I might have deleted it, but there was something else that was pointing towards the Wizards to cover in the spot. But yeah, I was looking towards them in this game. Did you didn't take it though, right, Austin?
No, I haven't taken that one yet. I just these back-to-back games. They already have so much familiarity with one another. I get kind of hesitant there, and they upped the total to 61.5, so getting kind of slim there in terms of the value and edge there. But if I were to take something in this game, I'd look at the first quarter total. I took it last game, so it hit for me.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't really have much. I would, like I said earlier, I was talking about this game on Triple Double. I did lean towards the Wizards, and also to the under, even though a lot of the trends point towards the over. For the most part. Also, Monte Morris is back. Second game out. They didn't mention if he's going to be starting, did they?
Should be if he's back. I would say.
I was gonna say. I think he started the other day, didn't he?
I think he went off the. He came off.
He came off the bench.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think it was right started. Wright started that
Oh,
game.
DeLon Wright started. He's a better
yeah.
defender than he is offensive player, and I'm pretty sure Monte would influence that total to go over as well. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the reason why. I mean, as much as I like the under, I'm probably gonna stay away from it and just focus in on trying to see if I can find a way towards the Wizard side. All right, let's move. Anything from a prop perspective, Chris?
I think Capella RC. I talked about this morning. I didn't play it. His points are 11.5. It's a little juice. I think it was like -118. So to me, there's a correlation RC between Snyder being there and Clint Capella. Just doing a. If anybody watched that game the other day, it was a lot of pick and roll basketball between him and DeJounte Murray, him and Trae Young. He just runs to the rim and he's gonna get a couple lobs each game. He's gonna get a couple putbacks as well. So you see, he's gone over that, pretty much every game since Snyder's been there. And I don't see, the Wizards don't have much to be able to stop him in the paint, RC. So a lot of pick and roll basketball. I think he could go over that number. To me, it's very symbolic, RC, of, Trae Young, Clint Capella, like Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, right? Because that's who he used to coach. Yeah. Donovan Mitchell, even though Donovan Mitchell never passed the ball to Rudy Gobert, that's what I see. When I think about, Clint Capella. So maybe it's double-double, but probably more so a look at his points.
You would think he bounced back after getting only 3 rebounds.
Yeah, a couple of those got taken away from him too. I see. It was crazy.
There has to be, especially if we're thinking that this goes under, there's going to be a lot more opportunity, I think. I would say that's a spot too as well from a Clint Capella. Rebounds might be the bounce back. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Nuggets and the Spurs. Chris, I know you like this one quite a bit. I was looking towards the first quarter on the Nuggets side. I think you said you got the first quarter and the first half. Is that right? Is there anything that made you take the spread versus the team total?
So when I looked at like just the Nuggets numbers in general versus like the league-wide trends, the Nuggets, not that they can't come out here and score 40 points in the first quarter, because I do think that's highly possible. I just think that, based on this one's more of a reporting type game, Marcy. I did a lot of like background information, type stuff, looking at post-game interviews. I read the Denver Post article about Jokic, kind of listening to some of the things that Kendrick Perkins had kind of said about him. And then I think the most important thing was, listening to Coach Mike Malone. He talked about wanting to get back to playing Denver Nuggets basketball. He said that they forced a lot of shots in the last game that was very, very uncharacteristic of his team. And he looks forward to getting to San Antonio, to see if they can get back to playing Denver-style basketball. To me, that just means that they start the first quarter and they, probably score whatever it is that they want. You look at the first quarter, first half trends, RC, if you go to advanced stats on NBA.com, and just sort it by post All-Star game. And you look at the first quarter specifically. So, there you go. And you just look where these teams rank. It's pretty telling, RC. So, just offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, like it's I think it's night and day. So just to kind of stay away from the point total, couldn't talk you off of the points, but just to kind of stay away from the points, I think, San Antonio does enough to, be winning this game comfortably, maybe about 6 to 8 points at the end of the first quarter. And I think they maintain that throughout halftime as well.
Yeah, because Chris, you were on the Skis show during the chat, right? And then Boofer mentioned something in that first quarter about, mentioned something about the Spurs first quarter at home, right? So what I wanted to look at was, because I didn't take it yet, but I was leaning in that direction. So he said Spurs at home, and their average first quarter margin is minus 1.6, right? Bigger in the second quarter. But one thing that I looked at was when they're double-digit dogs at home. And in that first quarter, because the number in the first quarter for the Nuggets is 4.5 right now, that average margin is pretty tight in this spot here specifically. But look at that second quarter, is the gap is ridiculous there. So when I looked into these games specifically, each one of them, right? I dove deep into the first quarter, first half. They scored 71 here versus the Phoenix scored 71 here. Obviously, they covered that first half. The Celtics here, they only won the first quarter by 3, but the second quarter was where the bigger gap is. They also scored 68. And today's, I think the first half team total is 65 or 65 and a half, if I'm not mistaken, or 64 and a half. And then the last game here, the Sixers, they scored 73. And obviously they covered that first half too, but they didn't cover that first quarter. So that was kind of what initially I was wanting to take that first quarter on the Nuggets, but now I'm really trying to focus in on that, either the first half spread or just the team total first half, because that second quarter is where that big gap comes. And it probably has to do with, obviously the Spurs not having depth, right? And then the Nuggets should be able to take care of business in that sense. But obviously, I mean, if Jokic plays the first quarter the whole time, I mean, it's a lot different than some of these other teams. So,
all right, see, real quick, did you look at Denver at all in the first quarter as a road favorite of 10 points?
Yeah, I did too, and that's what initially I just looked at Nuggets only, and that's kind of like why I was because I almost didn't care what the Spurs do in the first quarter, to be honest. Like when I saw it, was there one query specific you were talking about?
Well, nothing specific to the Nuggets. It was pretty close, but I looked at more like league-wide trends after All-Star break. Team coming off a previous home loss. Team coming off a previous home loss after the All-Star break, RC, and their road favorites laying 12 points or more, just to see how those teams did. So after All-Star break, previous home loss as a favorite as well, and they're predicted they're laying 12 points. I wanted to see the big numbers to see how teams did in that spot, and not just this season, but more so for just the database in general. Oh. And you add after All-Star break, RC, just because we know teams are tanking and not a lot of motivation all the time.
And then was there something else? Was it a road favorite?
Yeah, and away favorite. Yep. So that's what I saw. I saw the big 7-point gap, and that's what I was kind of predicting today. Just more so of Denver being able to get whatever it is that they want. You talked about Jokic playing pretty much every game. I'm sorry, almost every minute in the first quarter. He doesn't come out for quite a while. So I like the first quarter and the first half.
One more thing on this one before we move on, though. This is the other one that I saw that wanted me to take the Nuggets first quarter without looking towards the Spurs, is coming off a 20-point loss. Average gap is +10 in that first quarter. But obviously these were a little bit tighter. The numbers were, the total is a lot lower as well.
Those teams are all better as well.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking at the timing of it, October and November, that's what I mean. But if we look at this one specifically, they smashed this one 49-19 in that first quarter.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I think eventually I'm gonna get there on the first half and also the first half team total. I think those are the ways that I was gonna go.
One more thing I see. I thought the rest advantage was interesting in this spot. So it's it's really rare that you see a team with 4 days rest versus a team with only less than 2 days rest being favored by 12 points. So this is the query I looked at. After the All-Star break, opponent rest is greater than three or more, and then your rest is less than or equal to 2, and you're a road favorite and you're laying 12 points.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think that is right. You see the first quarter in that one. I mean, it hasn't happened often, right? Because you typically not laying 12 points when you at the rest disadvantage 2 days. So yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, seems like the first quarter is the big spot, but I think they build on it as well. I see it. To me, it's a smash spot. It should be a smash spot.
Right.
I wouldn't like it as much. It feel more like a trap game. I'm pretty sure Austin probably agrees. If they hadn't lost by 20 against Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a simple one. Just here while we're on it, because I saw you put it earlier. Previous game was a loss as a home favorite. Do that, and then just do away favorite and season greater than 2015. Or greater or equal to 2015. I mean, teams in the spot, like you said, it's a smash spot. They bounce back from that loss at home, embarrassing loss at home as a favorite. They're a road favorite. Yeah, they've been covering at a really high rate, and it just gets better as the line gets higher. So that's something to note. And as y'all have been talking, I've been internalizing it. And yeah, the Spurs have been a great first quarter team against the spread, and not just this season. This dates back to last season as well.
Yeah.
And they have a great coaching staff, obviously, that gets them well prepared for the game. But eventually, just the talent isn't there, and they start falling behind later on in the game. So with all things considered, just kind of internalizing all the things you said, I think I like that Nuggets for first half with you, Ronald. And I think I'm gonna be rocking.
I like it. Yeah. All right, we went deep on that one. I think that's a good one. Good game there. All right, let's move on to Cavs Heat here. We took the under on Wednesday. Went back with it. We got it last. I don't know what number you got it at, Austin, but I did get it at 214. We're talking about it
this morning. Yeah.
We were talking about it. We're like, man, should we take it at 214 or wait till tomorrow? Because we don't know if the number's going to go up or down.
Well, it did go up.
Going up again, 215 and a half. But obviously with the Garland news is coming back down a little bit. Also, the spread going towards the opposite side here. I mean, we're looking at pretty much the same stuff as on Wednesday as far as how these two teams match up, right? Slow pace, defensive-minded teams. But one thing that I shared this on Twitter was how the teams, obviously we talk about the injury report, right? When someone is downgraded in the middle of the day, typically they sit out, right? He didn't participate in the shoot around or anything like that. So after I saw that, I went directly into Spodevs and just said, how do the Cavs do without Garland?
Oh yeah, I looked this up too. So
it was like the first thing I did. So Spodevs says they have not lost a game with Darius Garland out. 10-0 straight up, 8-1-1 against the spread. That's a huge gap right there as far as like average margin on the 10-game sample size. Man, what do you guys think about this one? Obviously, I still think the Cavs can get it done even without Garland. I mean, it shows it here that it's possible. And I mean, they played some decent teams, Celtics, right? Obviously, the Knicks, not the Pistons, the Knicks here. These were earlier in the season, but I mean, we got some here in 2023 where they took care of business as well. What are you guys' thoughts on this? You guys have anything to add on this one, Chris?
The first thing I did was just kind of what you just said. I evaluated the teams that they've beaten, right? Like as long as they're not like 2-0 in those games that came against the Rockets and the Pistons, then it gives me a little more, a little more reason to want to back them. And I did, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I did play and I gave out the Cleveland Cavaliers minus the 1.5 before the Darius Garland news, of course, earlier this morning on my morning show. But I like the Cavs to get it done here. I think. Shout out to Punch School. I know Josh is in the chat. I watch his show as well, and he talked about the Miami Heat just really struggling offensively, effective field goal percentage. Yep. Post All-Star break, pretty much all season. It's one of the reasons why they play at such a slow pace because they can't score a lot of points. And you look at this Cleveland Cavalier team; they typically play best against offenses that struggle, right? Because they can muster up enough. So I still like the Heat in this. I still like the Cavs in this spot. RC, of course, you get a better number if you want to take them down, but I did play them minus the 1.5 this morning.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that they're above 500 and they're the 5th worst offensive rated team on the season. Look at the teams that they're above, and not even like it's Hornets, Spurs, Rockets, and Pistons, and then you have a plus over
Victor Wembanyama led teams. I see. Yeah, those are the teams competing for Victor.
Exactly. And then obviously their defense is what keeps them in the games, right? And that's kind of like why, and also the pace of play. I think these are bottom 3 in the season. But if they've gone a little bit quicker post All-Star break, but at the same time, it's still not significant enough to take me off of this over. If we go back to
off the under.
Oh yeah, sorry, off the under. Yeah. If we just go back to the Heat at home, they're the worst home ATS team in the league right now. 9-23-2 against the spread. I don't know. To me, man, it's as simple as just taking the Cavs and the under, continuing to just do that. The Heat has to be a fade until actually they're probably just a fade in general, right? And like I don't know when to back them at this point. Austin, anything to add on this one?
I agree with you. I mean, the Heat have continued to be an overvalued team all season long, and doesn't stop now. They shouldn't be favorites here. I know I'm sticking with the under here. With Darius Garland questionable, the on-off numbers show that the Cavs are 6.1 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court. So I think him potentially being out would obviously help the under really well. The last game ended on 204, even though both teams shot pretty well. They shot close to 50%, yet they still, only landed on 204. So, factoring in some shooting regression in this game with, both teams already familiar with one another from just playing last game. I think it's a smash under spot, slow pace. Cavs 30th in pace, last in pace, and then first in defensive rating. You already talked about the Heat struggles on offense. Yeah, I think this is the under spot. The Heat are still trying to fend off the Hawks for the division and the 7th seed. So they're going to be playing hard and they're focusing on their defensive intensity. So I like the under here.
The one thing that Josh Punt School mentioned in the chat yesterday was the Heat team total under. And just looking at the matchup wise, they've only gone over their team total once in this series within the past 2 years. So since last season, and then the average combined score in these games, 203, 204, 203, 203 or 204. But yeah, everything just really pointing towards the Cavs, the Heat, team total under, the full game under. Just that's the only way that I could look. And even without Garland, if Garland ends up playing, it's still pretty good news, regardless. Anything else to add on this one, prop wise or anything?
So one look I do have, RC, on the opposite side of the Cavs side is Jimmy Butler. I like his points plus rebounds, and I capped this one kind of the A wing style. So I didn't look at any of the those numbers at all. What I did was I looked at Jimmy in home games where the total is low, right? So I looked at Jimmy. This is a give me the dog, type it out style chart play, RC. But if you look at Jimmy in with a total of 216 or lower, he's actually 5-8 to the over on his points plus rebounds. And in 3 home games as dogs as well, he's 2 for 3 on this number. The game that he didn't hit was actually against the Boston Celtics during opening week as well. And my thought process behind that was, if I see a low total, like an extra low total for the Miami Heat, then does Jimmy Butler have to do more? And what I came up with is yes, Jimmy Butler has to, there's going to be an influx of rebounds because we get a low total. So rebound numbers should go up. And his points are sitting at 21.5. So if you take those two and put them together, points plus rebounds is 27.5. He's also coming off a game where he had 28 points and 5 rebounds against the Cavs the other night. And he did say in the post game interview that they need to do as much as they possibly can to win. So I think Jimmy has a good game, but the rest of those guys not as much, because he is the one guy on that team that can create his own shot and get to the free throw line. So I like Jimmy Butler to go over his 27.5 points plus rebounds.
Did I do this right? Hold on.
You said the opponent's team is Heat, so you need.
My bad. Okay. What total did you look at,
Chris? I looked at 216, RC.
216 or lower? Yeah,
216 or lower, yep.
What was the number?
27.5 is his points plus rebounds. And I always click the date, RC, to see, like, because that gives it to us from the beginning.
Opposite.
Yeah, I like to see that. Yeah, I like to see it there instead.
And that was points and what?
Points and rebounds. So the total is lower than 216. I had him at 5-8 to the over in that number, in 3 I'm sorry, 5-8 to the under in that spot. But maybe I added that they were at home as well. See, maybe I added home. There we go. That might be it. And then so he should be over in 5 of those 8 games there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and
Just
this
just
is all the season.
Yeah, just the thought process that he has to do more. And then also, if you add that they're a home dog, he should be 2-3 to the over in that spot as well. If he's a dog at home in this spot, having to do a little bit more.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think obviously, man, it's crazy to think that they suck this bad offensively.
This is true, but Jimmy's the one guy that can score.
Exactly. And
No,
Harold,
they're not dogs anymore, so just
yeah, exactly. Let's move on to this next one here. The Nets and the Wolves. Did you guys have anything on this one? I didn't really have anything. I think so. I seen some guys in the chat on the under though, right? Were you guys on that?
I like the under here. Go ahead, Austin. What you got, Austin?
No, I didn't really have anything. I just the Nets are on the second night of a back-to-back, but they didn't play their starters any minutes yesterday, so they obviously punted that game, and so I think their starters going to be a little more refreshed for tonight's game. I don't think they should be 5-point underdogs. I have this more maybe like two or three. I think there's some value on the Nets, but not enough to get me to bet on them. But gun to my head, I'd say Nets.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think if you want the Nets, then you should have probably got on them before everybody got ruled in with the injury news, because we kind of knew with Royce O'Neal. What did it open at, RC?
5.
It's down to 4.5. Oh, I thought it dropped more than that. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it definitely still some value there. But Minnesota, RC, if you look at them post All-Star break, they are one of the top. I don't know exactly where they rank, but they are a top defensive team. I think maybe every one of their games, maybe even one have gone over, but they've been an under team. I think it might have been the Sacramento game that went over, but they've been a really good defensive minded team recently. Where you got them at 13th?
Yeah. Are you talking about Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean they're both in the top half of the league as far as defensive rating, but if you look at where they're at offensively, they're both in the bottom 10, I think. Wolves is here and the Nets is right there.
Another reason to like the under. Brooklyn is on the second leg of a back-to-back, like Austin said, but they didn't play a lot of their starters, and the main starters that they did play yesterday only played the first quarter. I see, so I think it's a defensive, minded game. Minnesota also coming in here off 2 days rest. I know Ski mentioned that on his show, and they have 2 days, more rest as well. So it should be a spot where they should be motivated coming off a loss the other day, going well under their team total, and not limiting the Philadelphia 76ers in that spot either. I know Philly went over their team total and they stayed well under theirs. So yeah, they got some. That was a game you was on the under, and you was on the Timberwolves. I see.
Yeah.
I mean, you was on Philly.
You was on Philly. Yeah, on Philly.
Yeah. So
if you look at, I mean, obviously they're a different team now, but if you just look at these situations where they lost by a lot, I can see minus 34 here. They end up winning by 25. Minus 21 here, end up winning by 3 as dogs to the Mavs. So it seems like they bounce back in this spot typically. Let me just dive. Oh wait, this is 22. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, and then we go P margin less than or equal to minus 15. Let's just say 15 points. 20.
So something I'll just add that I spoke on earlier was that, I have a theory that the market is just overvaluing, not always, but overvaluing teams on the second night of a back-to-back, 3 and 4 game, third game in 4 nights, or fourth game in 6 nights. But I've ran this situation where if the team is in that scenario, they're on the road, they lost their last game, and their opponents has more than 2 or more days of rest, they actually do really well, because I think the market overvalues that line movement, and I just think that 4.5, 5 points is too much to be laying with the Timberwolves here. And like, just for instance, that situation I just said, 21-12 against the spread since last season. So that just backs up the fact that I think the market overvalues these scenarios.
I absolutely agree, Austin. I looked at something very similar. I think it might have been home favorites with the rest advantage versus an opponent that is on the second leg of a back-to-back. Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
Say that one more time. Home favorite.
So just home favorite, and a rest is greater than opponent's rest, and then opponent rest is also 0, and opponent is coming off a loss.
Now it's different. If they're coming off a win in this situation, that kind of tends to lend to a letdown spot. But when they're off a loss, not so much.
Right.
That probably even gives the market more ammo to make the line even higher. So
Bulls. Gotcha. Okay. Damn, the average margin in these games is pretty high.
Yeah, 7.1. And that's what that kind of goes to what A. Wayne was just saying. Like 7 is a lot. I mean, this line is only 4.5, but it still probably is, it's still maybe a little too many points.
Yeah. Did you guys play anything on this one? Prop perspective or anything?
No, I just jotted down the Nets as a potential play. I saw value there, but no, I didn't play it, nor do I really plan on playing it. And
Zada better Nets outright, and Matt Stoney goes, only if you have a gambling addiction. Hey man, Nets I think I just pulled it. Nets actually been doing pretty well. So it's crazy to think that they give up KD and grab all these, assets and still, you obviously think that they'd be tanking, but they've been putting up a fight.
I mean, Mikal Bridges, like, wow,
that boy's balling, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so I mean, they beat the Celtics. They can't say that they're tanking.
Yeah, but the one thing though, RC, if you just look right here, when they're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, it's not as much tonight because their stars didn't play as much. But those games when they play on the second leg of a back-to-back since KD and Kyrie got traded, the opponent has gone over their team total every single time. I remember taking the Knicks in that game. I think I was on the island in the chat that game because nobody wanted the latest 7.5 with the Knicks in that spot, but they smashed them in that spot. And that was a road game on the second leg of a back-to-back, and the same thing for the Timberwolves again. In this game, but the starters didn't play as many minutes. So like Austin said, that's one of the reasons why I'm on the sideline. I don't have the gambling, addiction that was mentioned in the
All right, let's move on to the next one then. Is this the last game? Oh yeah, last game here. Raptors and the Lakers. Did I have anything on this one? I was looking towards the under in this game here. Did you guys have anything on this one?
I've got jotted down that, the Lakers have been an under team lately, obviously without LeBron James. Noted that in the Action Network article as well. They're one of the teams that are trending to the under, 9-2 to the under in the last 11. Raptors, on the other hand, are on the tail end of a long road trip, so you can expect some fatigue and tired legs on their end. Just not sure how to factor in D'Angelo Russell back into the lineup. He could be rusty.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you on that under there. I see a little bit of value. I have it at 221, 222. So yeah, definitely I think it should go under there, but just curious to see how y'all think Russell factors into the equation.
Yeah, that's a good point as far as questioning that part. And the chat's making me laugh here. Any chance the refs fuck over the ref? That's what I'm thinking, dude. Like I was on Twitter the other day and then saw that video clip. All I could think about was, when AI was like, yo, how long is this going to last? It's not necessarily, doesn't have to be Ben Taylor reffing that game for him to be affected. It's that whole, ref group. They're like
brotherhood, they're fraternity.
Yeah, exactly. I was almost going to say cult, but yeah, fraternity sounds better. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have each other's back. And if that's the case, he might struggle tonight. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Let me put this query up real quick.
Yeah, somebody dropped this off this morning, RC, during my show, and what you see is road dogs on the 5th game and last game of a road trip. There's not a conference game with a dog of 5 points or less without overtime. So if you take the overtime out, the game for today will pop up. And you guys can see that they're
I think they're not dogs anymore, right?
Right, they're not dogs anymore. Right, of course they're not dogs anymore. But when they were dogs this morning, that was the trend. It's still a lot of
still really good. I mean, like I think we get fascinated by like the really good,
the high percentage
records.
Yeah.
But if you look at 70%, you got to imagine professionals, win at a 56% rate. You find something at 70%, that's just crazy.
Yeah,
Okay, so that backs up the tail end of the long road trip.
I was just about to say it backs up the last game of the road trip as well. Just to kind of talk about what Austin mentioned as well. Somebody dropped these stats off in the chat as well this morning. RC, they said that Toronto's averaging just 105 points per game, which is the second fewest post All-Star break. They're also 26th offensively rated and 30th in effective field goal percentage, 28th in pace post All-Star break. So all of those numbers, just tend towards a really slow paced game where they just don't score the ball a lot. The Lakers are second in defensive rating, allowing only 110 points, but only 107.5 at home. They're second in opponent field goal percentage and second in opponent three-point field goal percentage as well. They're third in opponent free throw attempts because they're not fouling as much. And the Lakers are 6-0 to the under post All-Star break when they're playing on a game that's not the second leg of a back-to-back, only averaging about 221 points in those spots. So I feel like there's still a little cushion towards the under, but the reason why I didn't play it is what Austin kind of mentioned. How will D'Angelo Russell affect this game? Will he be rusty? Because if so, that tends towards the under. But defensively, will he be a liability? Because we know that Schroeder's the better defender. If so, that could lean towards the over. So I stayed off the game, full game, but I would still kind of lean towards the under just because it's Toronto Raptors and really like that query that I just showed you guys.
So he has only played 3 games so far, 2011, 23. I mean, offensively, it seems like he's making an impact. Just not looking at based off not looking at the full game score here, just off his stat line, he's able to move the ball, get the assist and score. He has some volume there. It seems like he would impact it positively on the offensive side of the ball. Chris Nieto, I'd probably just butchered that. Drop this query here. 7, I think we just take out 2014. 7-0 against straight up and against the spread. The Raptors are in LA. They like to play in LA. It seems like winning by margin too. At least 7 in each one of those games. So historically, it seems like a Raptor spot. To me, it seems like I still want to take the under. Obviously, it is pause for concern with Russell, but I mean, all the numbers that you mentioned, whoever dropped those stats for this game here, it all makes sense to me. Was that all full season or
all that was post All-Star break?
Okay, yeah,
all that post All-Star break. RC, another thing to mention is even the query you have right there. I see that. I mean, your under is hidden in that query. That's only 16 points. Yeah. 217 points. So that's still a little meat on the bone for the under as well at 224.5.
The Lakers post All-Star break 6-1 to the under. Their defense is just playing really well. Man,
they both are. RC, one thing. RC, do this real quick. Go to advanced stats. Go to the top. Go to teams. Go to opponents. Go to teams up top, and then go to where it says advanced. Just hit opponents, and then drop it down to post All-Star break, and then just go to opponents' points per game and look at the combined score, like combined totals that both of these teams are giving up. That's typically something I'll do as well. So on the opposite side, just hit it again. Yeah.
So Raptors 108.9, Lakers 110.7.
That's like what, 119?
Yeah.
219, I mean?
Mm-hmm. So if we just looking at the advanced stats too, like post All-Star break, right? The guy that dropped those stats made a lot of sense. They're both top 10 in defensive rating, both bottom 10 in offensive efficiency. Again, though, that is without D'Angelo Russell. And then pace of play, they're total opposites. Raptors towards the bottom, and then Lakers towards the top.
Which we just kind of saw, RC. I think one thing to note in that is that we just saw the Clippers, right? We didn't know how to cap that game with the Clippers and the Raptors, so everybody kind of stayed off the total. But that game went under because the Clippers kind of slowed their pace down. The Raptors kind of dictated that game as far as pace-wise, and that game went under. So should be another spot where, the Lakers, probably play a little bit slower, and the game goes under as well.
All makes sense to me. The
Yeah,
Yeah, I
total
think
hasn't even come
with
down.
Russell back, potentially Austin Reeves gets less usage, and he's been playing really well lately and been pushing the ball. And yeah, add in the fact that Russell's a little bit rusty. Yeah, I think that helps the under there too.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it hasn't moved much at all.
And you mentioned the Raptors played the Clippers last game. They've been in LA for the last 2 nights, man. I mean,
what's the
I'd be
worst that could happen, right? Us?
Yeah, I'd be partying it up.
You got to find the spots in LA. What's interesting is the line move -1 to 2.5. Do you guys know what that is about, or is that just all money that's putting you in that direction?
It scares me a little bit, RC, but it also doesn't scare me from the simple fact that the Lake that we saw this with the Grizzlies the other day as well, right? Like, the line move towards the Grizzlies in that game. I think people just still kind of underestimating the Lakers, against a really tough defense without LeBron James. I feel like that's what's happening. AD, his points plus rebounds, RC, I think is in play because he's been the guy for the Lakers pretty much every single time down the floor. Which, is one of the reasons why they're playing at a slower pace. They're giving him the ball. He's averaging, I think, if you go look at his points plus rebounds, RC, I think his line's sitting at 41.5, and he's averaging like 48 over the last 6 games. Dude really putting the team on his back. So with D'Lo being back, it only probably picks up the the offense for him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, he's killing it, RC.
Yeah, that's so many. That's a lot. Points and rebounds, 41.5. I mean, it seems like it's still a good matchup. It's still
you
in
see
the
that edge? Yeah, you see that edge?
Yeah.
I got to run, guys. All right.
All right. Hey, Austin. Oh, go ahead. Never mind. I think we know what your plays are. We'll drop them. Do you have a minute to just drop the
Oh yeah, I took the under the Heat and Cavs. I know it's at 212.5. I'd probably wait until the Garland news officially becomes, is official before see if the total moves up a bit if he's declared in. But yeah, I'd still take it at 212.5. I got it at 214 yesterday or this morning, and then I'm also taking the Blazers at 9.5.
Blazers. All right.
All right.
All right. Appreciate you, Austin.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
All right.
Chris, we in the recap section. Real quick though, I did want to say the line movement scary as fuck. The thing about line movement, guys, I feel like I think the story is if there's no injury involved in line movement, that's when it gets scary. You know what I mean? And I didn't see any injury news on this one. Obviously with Garland news being downgraded, that warrants the move, right? This one, I don't know what it is. So that's the only reason why I want to stay out the spread. All right, real quick, your recaps. What do you want today, Chris?
Yeah, I see. So we talked about the first game. I did play the Miami Heat earlier. Not the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier. Of course, if you want to play him, you can wait and get a better number. If Garland gets ruled in, I don't think that he's going to play though. They say he wasn't even at shoot around, like he wasn't even in the building, is what I saw from the beat reporter, the beat writer. So you don't have to play that one, but I'm still going to ride out with them. I think that they can win the game based on the numbers that we looked at as well. Also, that James Harden, I talked about his assists. I played his assists at 10.5, and I also played Jimmy Butler over his 27.5 points plus rebounds. Those are the 3 official plays, but I really like. I think you guys kind of talked me on, specifically A Wayne talked me on that on the Trailblazers in this spot. Just a fade of the hot 76ers right now. So get a 9.5 number. I think I'll probably hop on that as well. But right now it's not an official. And really, really strong lean towards that Lakers and Raptors under. Just hadn't placed that in. Maybe once we find out what's going on with the line movement. If we get some news, that's the thing about these shows. Actually, we don't have to necessarily play them because the game doesn't start until 6 hours. So not an official play, but I'll probably end up being on that under as well. 224.5.
So for me, I like a lot of the same stuff that you did. So I've only put in the Cavs Heat under. I took that last night at 214 as well. Obviously, you could have got a better number this morning, and then the Garland news brought it down to 212.5. I still like it at 212.5 to the under. I think they both struggle to combine for 210. Cavs at this number, I would take it. Do you think it moves more if he's confirmed out? I think it does.
Maybe I think so too. Maybe a half point at the least, probably 3 points. Yeah,
because I think
probably +3. Right now, you seeing what +2s?
Let me see.
I think it's +2s.
It's where the fuck? Yeah, 2. So it moved 3.5 on the news itself that he's out. I think that seems like a lot. Especially with you still got Mitchell, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they
because
haven't.
Levert, slide him
Levert,
in.
yeah, they still
Yeah,
got a lot of guys there. So I think it probably end up moving another half point if he's officially out. Then there's going to be a lot of buyback on the Cavs at that point. So I think we take the Cavs on the spread there at the bet. Try to find the best number as
best
possible.
number. Yep, exactly.
And then we have the Nuggets. I think I'm gonna get there with some way on the first half for the Nuggets, either the spread or that team total first half.
I did play them too, RC. I totally forgot about that one. I did play the Nuggets first quarter spread and first half, minus the 4.5 and minus the 7, first quarter and first half. So
Gotcha.
had those ones as well. Yeah, I think it's a smash spot for them, specifically early. If they win in the game by 20 points at halftime,
Yeah,
wouldn't surprise me in none at all.
and it's probably gonna be one of those. I don't think it's gonna get to that point, but it's gonna be that situation where if it doesn't cover, I'm gonna take them live. I think that's because regardless, I think they're gonna get to the point where they probably cover that full game too, to be honest. But first half spread and the team total over. I think I might get there with the Blazers first half. I'm gonna do the same thing. I think they covered that first half based on some of the numbers that we saw. If they don't, then I'll probably take the plus 9.5 or plus whatever it is at the half. Lakers Raptors under. I think I'm gonna be with you there as far as waiting to see what news is out there that caused that line movement. Other than that, I would look only towards the under in that game. I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that was it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I think we had a pretty good show today. I think we got pretty detailed on some of the stuff. I learned some new shit too on the NBA page. So shout out to you for that. With that said, any last words, Chris? Today is Friday. What you got going on this weekend?
Not much, man. I'm like you, RC. We do the same thing on the weekends, bro. We got to spend it with the family, man. We do so many shows throughout the week. Yeah. we gotta just relax, man. Take our feet off, take our shoes off, put our feet up, enjoy the family, just kind of hang out, man. So I won't be doing any weekend shows, but I will be doing my Spaces and YouTube show later today at 5:30 Eastern time. If anybody wants to join, drop plays, just kind of hear some of the same insight and analysis that we already kind of went over, RC. I'll be doing that, but as always, appreciate you having me on, and let's try to cash some tickets as he finished off the week strong, man.
Finish off the week strong, yeah, for sure. All right, well, with that said, guys, this is the end of the show, and like I said, as always, this is how I like to end the show. Is whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time, peace.